Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaren Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
How many rolls do you have saved for the upcoming ZZZ 2.0 anniversary drop?
Oh, I think I have about 300 saved.
Okay. Matt, that's a lot of rolls. That's a lot of rolls, and that's notably more than the amount of rolls that I currently have saved.
Jaren, how many do you have saved?
Not 300, Matt. Where, off the top of my head, I think I'm only hovering around everything included. Maybe.
Man, are you guys going right into Zenless Zone Zero without introducing me?
Maybe. I want to say maybe half of yours, Matt, like 150.
Okay.
Guys, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
And
anyone?
I'm pretty excited, Matt. Matt, here's my thing. I could totally trigger my $300.
Is he ignoring me because I'm talking anime this week?
Not my $300, my 300 roll selector, but I feel like I should wait to pop that until after the anniversary.
Same.
All right.
Same.
Great episode.
But you've heard him once again, also joining us this week. Another one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Rakush. Hey, Rakush.
I have 0 rolls.
But Rakush, if you sign up now, you could get up to 180 rolls on ZCZ's 2.0 patch.
I'm good. I'm good with 0.
Okay, Rakush. Here's your platform for the next, let's say, minute and a half. Please tell us how enlightened you are after Hangman versus Ospreay last night at Double or Nothing.
I was very surprised by that result, but I'm really happy with where they're going with this. And that was a really well-produced match. Like, Jaren, I don't know if you actually caught like how they were filming it and everything as well, but like it was extremely New Japan core. And like they were lingering on one shot, not a lot of cuts. The lighting was phenomenal. They let the action speak for itself. That is like as close as wrestling ever comes to cinema. That was fantastic.
And with a few seconds to spare, boys, we did it. We went through ZZZ, we went through wrestling, but if there's one thing the Mistake Zone is known for, it's some sweet treats. Boys, earlier today, I had myself a sweet treat, which, what else is new in the life of Jaren Wade, where for reasons I won't get into, they might include marketplace exchanges. I found myself sitting in a park, and it was a pretty nice day, and I see the ice cream truck roll up, and I thought, you know what? Weather's great, summer season fast approaching. We should kick it off with an ice cream truck purchase, and I decided to buy a dipped vanilla cone.
Nice.
And boys, scenario. Say you're waiting for, you order your dipped cone and you see the ice cream man start to make it. And when he dips the vanilla soft serve into the fudge and the ice cream, when he pulls it out, falls back into the pot of hot fudge. Where do you stand in your expectations, Matt Alba?
I mean, I'm gonna assume that he's gonna, make you a new ice cream cone, and he's like just gonna, scoop it back out.
Fair. Rakush, expectation-wise, where are you standing?
30 seconds of both of you staring at each other like, well, that just happened.
So the gentleman, of course, scoops it out with the ladle,
Amazing.
Puts it in a separate cup, puts it to the side, and makes me a new cone. And this time it works out, but I realize that, boys, as someone who has partaken in his fair share of dipped cones back in the day, or throughout his lifetime, this was by far the saddest dipped vanilla soft serve cone I've ever had. Boys, have you ever seen a soft serve cone, like a dipped soft serve cone, melt when it's being given to you, where it's really flat and deflating, and you realize the moment you start holding it, that vanilla is all over your hand already?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's rough.
Never that quickly.
Needless to say, if I didn't look sketchy in a parking lot before, me trying to hurry and eat this melting ice cream that's all over my hands at the moment, while I have a bunch of children and teens staring at me out the corner of their eye, was quite the experience. Manalba, what are you ordering from the ice cream truck?
I mean, I'm not going to end up in that situation, Jaren, because I think, actually, you know what I might have? I think I'm like 50-50 on getting a dipped cone or I think they're called icebergs. They're normally called icebergs, like the slush with the soft serve in it.
Yes, that was what my partner got, and boy, was I jealous. Because their hands were clean and mine were not. Rakush, it's your turn in line. What are you ordering?
Probably one of those, like, well, it's been years since I've been at an ice cream truck, but like probably one of those like Captain America ices or something like that.
Damn, you're paying. Boys, is it time for the "we're being priced out of everything right now" portion of the show?
With ice cream?
Oh no!
Rakush,
Jaren,
guess how much a SpongeBob funny, bubblegum eyed popsicle costs right now?
Okay, I'll answer it, but I got a question for you. Is it still the bubblegum eyes? Because I'm pretty sure in the States they no longer have the bubblegum eyes.
At least from the pictures, it looked like the bubblegum eyes. It could be the flat, candies. Either or, one of those. But It's your SpongeBob, deformed SpongeBob with some sort of candy-coated eyeball.
I'm gonna say $5 based on where you're going with this.
Ooh. I was just a bit higher. I was at 550.
Ooh, boys. Are you both sitting down for this?
Oh no.
650.
I don't like. Get out of here! Oh my god.
Oh man.
650.
Would you believe a banana split is $13.99?
$13.99?
Yep.
Damn.
That somehow I can believe.
Over the 650 SpongeBob popsicle.
Yeah, because I feel like the split requires some work, and it's like anything labor related has shot up in price.
I would imagine if I was just to blindly order without looking at the price, I would expect to pay like $10 for a banana split. The 13 is like where I would expect a funnel cake to be.
Ooh,
fair.
Matt, I don't think you're getting a funnel cake at an ice cream truck.
You know what's crazy? Like, these are prices we used to spend at like parks,
and
like these are just regular prices now.
Yeah,
guys, I'm scared to go to a theme park, and I'm not, boys. I hope I don't have a kid at any time, because the topic of Disneyland will bound to come up, and I honestly don't want to pay for a Disney trip.
Jaren, just don't show them Disney movies. I mean,
Fair.
it's like, Disney's being on track with their like live action remakes. Maybe they won't see them naturally.
You gotta just make them watch like Wallace and Gromit stuff.
Or just make them just hardcore weeb them and just push them more so into like weeb stuff, so that you can just go to Japan.
Yeah, but then they're gonna want to spend money on figures and stuff, and then like you might as well just go to Disneyland at that point.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's Jared. He'll have the figures already, so he won't have to spend extra money.
Yeah, but then is Jaren gonna want to share with this kid?
You're not gonna play with them. They're there for display only. Jaren is gonna teach his child how to respect anime figures.
But the kid's gonna want to play with them.
No, Jared's gonna steer him down the path of collector at a very, very young age.
You reminded me that I have a Amy payment request that I should probably click and process within the next what are these saying? I don't know. I probably have a week for this. But anyway, boys, speaking about ice cream trucks, not only did I purchase one, but
What?
I also
An ice cream truck?
I mean, purchase from an ice cream truck. But
oh man, that could have been a whole new level of mistake zone.
after this episode, maybe I'll tell you about how I'm currently brainstorming potential business opportunities. But speaking about ice cream trucks, I did drive one for a hot second in the latest Konami drop, Deliver at All Costs. Depending on when you listen to this episode, this game is currently free on the Epic Games Store until, Matt, what's Thursday, the 29th?
29th.
Until 10:59 a.m. Eastern time. So if you haven't picked it up, you can claim it on the Epic Games Store. and I'm currently around 7 hours in the game. And according to my save file, that's around the 55% completion point. But to be fair, I think if you beeline the story, I can see someone finishing this in 6 to 8 hours. But if I had to be honest, this sort of became my podcast game where before we get all into that, Deliver at All Costs is this isometric driving game where you play as someone named Winston. He's pretty down on his luck. Stop me if you heard this before, might have a mysterious past, but he's trying to pick himself back up, start life anew, and he gets a job as a delivery man at We Deliver, this local delivery service. And I think the one thing that really catches me off guard about Deliver at All Cost is just how kind of jarring it is between the story aspects and the actual gameplay, where for the most part, I think the story does play it pretty, I want to say, pretty serious, just because this is your telling a story about a struggling delivery company which has to deal with, with board members, with the cost of operation, and essentially not only dealing with their current employees, but kind of HR and just all these changes to kind of keep it afloat. Where in between that aspect of running a delivery business, it is mixed up with, oh, Winston does have this past in science and maybe something he's worked on, he's trying to outrun, but even some of that is slowly making its way and creeping back up into his new life. So you kind of have a story that is playing it pretty straight, mixed in with the fact that once you get behind the wheel, it's pretty much this zany semi-open world game where a lot of the delivery missions does have this sort of gimmick for, like, for example, one of the first delivery missions you're tasked with is you have to go to a bar, pick up a bunch of rotten melons, and then not only go to have them clean, but then also have them sprayed to look like different melons. So you're able to re-deliver it to the bar so the owner is able to purchase it. And all the while you're kind of just running into different cars. There's a lot, pretty much the buildings are all destructible, so you can just ram into them and they'll come crumbling down all around you. You have a shove button, so just in case someone is mad that you've cut them off, they might have a big red angry face on top of them. They'll come up to you, just jump out your car, shove them to the ground, and be on your way to more mayhem or chaos. So I think that's what's really odd about it. And if I had to be completely honest, the story is really talky, where I feel like it does drag a lot of the times, and for the most part I kind of just want to go back to driving around and mostly seeing what this world has to offer in terms of the actual delivery missions and the side missions. But with this being free on the Epic Games Store this week, did any of you guys also check it out?
I played the demo for it back during one of the Next Fests, and I claimed it for Epic, because I'm gonna claim me some free games.
For sure. But Matt, from your time with the demo, did anything really stick out to you, or at least make you interested in the title?
I mean, the original premise was interesting to me, but in practice, this game is not a game that I really want to play. I think the internal, like in my head, objective and experience I was expecting to have with this game isn't in line with what the game was actually offering. Because I was expecting like a delivery game. Like you're expected to just drive this car, do this sort of whatever missions that this game comes up with to do them, and I wasn't expecting it to be so I don't know, like like not focused on that actual objective. Like it is.
Yeah.
This is it's about the experience and not like the objective. Where I think the thing that like really bothered me, going back to the watermelon mission, or was it watermelons or just normal melons?
Some sort of melon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That mission, like you said, it's about moving melons from one place to the other. And I was expecting, hey, you just go to pick this up and you go to bring it somewhere else. But it is not that simple. It is the fact that, hey, the melons, like you're doing this in a pickup truck and the melons are going into the, what's the part of the pickup truck called where you like put the stuff?
The flatbed.
Yeah, the flatbed. But, it's not anchored. This is a physics-based thing. It's almost like this game controls like almost like QWOP in a way, but not that complicated. It is a game about, driving is not easy to control, or it is not easy to keep, the cargo in the flatbed. It's more so about, I guess, like the destruction and the mayhem that's happening rather than, completing objectives. And I think that just wasn't the gameplay experience that I wanted.
Where, if I had to be honest, it is when this game focuses on those delivery objectives is where it is really weak. Just because, as you said, now this is essentially tank controls in a way where, at least with the recommended controls, you're hitting right trigger for gas, left trigger to reverse, and you're either steering left and right with the, your left stick. So it is. When you're just kind of cruising around, I actually really find the driving fun. Just going around this open world, just trying to hit some sweet drifts. But it is when you get to the objectives, which requires some precision driving, and that's where the challenge is coming from, where it kind of falls apart for me, where I found the objectives more on the frustrating end, where when you have this big, not necessarily big, but this more open space with destructible environments, it's kind of that idea of getting from point A to point B, and just seeing what mayhem you can cause in between, which was what I thought this game would be, where it is a lot more, hey, you need to balance melons, you have to make sure that birds don't poo on a statue, or you have to dodge volcano, magma, meteor eruption things. So it's when you have to kind of pay attention, that's where it kind of really gets unfun for me personally. And to be fair, the fail states are pretty generous. Say with the melon mission, if you should have at least 20 melons in your truck by the end of the mission for you to successfully pass. And say you drop all your missions, it will teleport you back and reset a few, feet back. And then maybe if you entered that area with 35 melons, when you respawn, you might have 40, or when you respawn, you might have 50. So it's still making it a bit easier the more you fail, just so you can kind of keep on going until the next mission. And if you actually want to do the challenges, I hope there will be a replay mission function, just because a lot of the achievements are having you successfully deliver something without maybe all the melons, or within a certain time, or dodging a certain amount of things. So yeah, it is when you get to those objectives that it is weaker. But I think this became a weird comfort game for me, just because all scattered around all the different environments are these crates, and they're essentially money crates, or some upgrade crates as well, where after you save up $5,000, you get $10 to $20 per crate. And then, of course, when you successfully finish a mission or a delivery, you'll get some money too. You can pay $5,000 to unlock keys to the city, which essentially marks all the different crates on your map. And I think for like the last third of my time with the game, I've honestly just thrown on a podcast, driven, and trying to collect all these different crates, all these different upgrades for me to upgrade my car. And I think that's a relaxing experience, just because, again, I do think the game looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It does have that diorama look. I think, at least for my hardware, it really does look like a beautiful game, for me personally. But if I had to also mention, I saved up to, buy a bunch of upgrades at once for my car because you can customize your delivery truck with certain upgrades. And I think that's also an underwhelming aspect where, for the most part, a lot of the upgrades you can put on your truck are essentially kind of just AoE attacks that, push away other cars from your surroundings, which again isn't necessarily a big component of the game. Sure, there are cop chases if you cause too much damage, but even that's an afterthought where all you have to do to shake them is break the line of sight, go jump into a dumpster, and it's over. And even if the cops do catch you, nothing really happens. You don't get arrested. It's not necessarily a mission failure point. So it's weird where I feel like this game is supposed to be all about vibes. Just with how forgiving the replay or the retry system is, even though you don't have a dedicated retry button, or the fact that cops don't necessarily make a fail state for you. But at the same time, when even though the vibes might be kind of easygoing, once you get to those more precise objectives, I don't know, it's not a fun time. But if you're just looking towards driving around and crashing into environments, I think there is something to it there, especially if it's free for now on the Epic Games Store. And I do want to say that since it is an isometric view, you can hit the right stick just to kind of shift the perspective from, facing left to facing right. And I think they use that to their favor because some of the crates are pretty hidden in one view. So if you shift the perspective, you might have a better view of where it is. And that's the same for the small platforming or ladder or traversal stuff as well, which again, there is some variety there in terms of trying to find stuff, which I think is relaxing. But once you kind of get past that to the actual game, to the actual story, it does feel like that's a slog. And I do find myself skipping dialogue. I do find myself trying just to kind of get through a mission just so I can, say, explore a new map and then look for more collectibles as well. And even though there are hidden cars, like an ice cream truck around the area, you find them, and unfortunately it doesn't really trigger an ice cream mission, for example, to the point where, okay, now I'm driving an ice cream truck that doesn't have my upgrades to my pickup truck. Then why would I continue to drive this when it's technically weaker than my actual delivery car? But deliver at all costs, I think this is going for 40 Canadian full price, but again, free until the 29th on the Epic Games Store. Harder for me personally to recommend full price, but definitely there is something there if I don't know, free roaming, finding crates might be your jam. But if I had to be honest, just playing through it, it made me think, okay, maybe I am ready for Mario Kart World and just explore that open world with their mechanics, where deliver at all costs might be a bit of a primer as well. But Matt, Rakush, based on that, is this something you might see yourself installing one day on the Epic Games Store, or maybe just leave it in the backlog for now?
I have not logged into the Epic Games Store in something like 6 months.
Fair.
Yeah.
How about you, Matt? Think you might play this at some point?
I think I might. Kind of knowing what I know, I think I may play this, but not as I think the game that it's intended to be. I think I'm just going to be playing this as a drive around and mess around type game rather than
That's fair.
do these objectives. Almost treating it almost, I guess, like a goat simulator in some way. But yeah.
Yeah. Man, I keep debating if I should go back to Goat Simulator, but I don't know, boys. I think that might be kind of past me for now. But yeah, that's Deliver at All Cost available now. But I've also been playing a demo for a game that will come out, I believe, in full at the time that this episode releases for all our friends out there. But demo is available now for the game to a T, which is directed by Keita Takahashi, who you may know as the designer behind Katamari Damacy, and we love Katamari. But his latest game, To a T, you play as a teenager whose default name is Teen, and they are essentially stuck in a T pose. Their arms are just kind of stuck out, and you are walking around, what's the meme? Asserting your dominance, but less in a meme sense, but more in a slice of life anime kind of vibe, because gameplay in itself is pretty simple. It's just basic button prompts and analog stick movements to do everyday tasks such as washing your face, eating breakfast, brushing your brushing your teeth. But at the same time, it is a super charming game that, not only shows how supportive their mother is, but also just like the little production things that add to it as well, where, you do have your opening title song, you do have some song segments, and even I believe the game will present itself in a more episodic format, with each chapters being their own episode. And of course, a chapter ends with a endings theme as well, which I think is a nice touch to my slice of life sensibilities, where even though it's super charming in that way, I do appreciate as well that it is showing some things, because even though your character starts off really positive, it's their birthday, they have a cute dog that just helps them with their day to day, towards the end of the morning, your character reveals that they dread going to school. Their mother is kind of worried about them being bullied. And even on your walk home, you're just thinking about how awful the kids were to you.
Oh man!
Even on your birthday,
Jaren, I thought this was gonna be a happy game. This is way more sad than I was expecting.
Matt, during their walk to school, just when they're in that bummed out state, you can press a prompt to kind of talk to yourself. Matt, can I read 2 prompts that you can trigger?
Okay, drop them.
1, I think this country's education system is done for. 2, these should focus more on each student. So, for you to go have this, happy-go-lucky morning, you're dressing yourself, you're eating cereal with a comically large spoon that your mother put together for you, to just, hating going to school, and even the little thought bubbles of all the kids teasing you. I think that was kind of showing how this is more of a coming of age story for your character as well. And then when it does end on its episodic cliffhanger, you do have a glimpse that reminds you that even though this might be a bit more subdued, this is still within that Katamari Damacy lineage. So I think if you go into To a T expecting a physics puzzle like Octopath, or not Octopath Traveler, Octodad, I think you're definitely going to be underwhelmed, because it's not that game, where I also don't think it's trying to be, where this does seem like this is trying to be an interactive slice of life anime, where could this be an anime proper? Yeah, probably, but at the same time, I still think the controllable elements do add to that, cozy vibe. And even though it's not overly complex, if you're a fan of just the slice of life genre in general, I do recommend at least checking out the demo. So yeah, this is To a T, available, I believe, May 28th on Steam. But yeah, if you want a slice of life, and if you want to play a slice of life anime, this might be it. Just because, boys, summer season's approaching, and I should probably look out what actual slice of life anime I should watch. But yeah, that is To a T. And speaking about anime, Rakush,
I am anime.
You took a field trip this weekend.
Yes.
To, let's say, a anime convention, probably the biggest one here in the Toronto area. Even I would say even Ontario, but
Yeah.
you went to the annual Anime North. Rakush, tell us about
Yes.
your field trip. Report format, of course.
Um, the last time I went to Anime North was like 2007, 2008. So you can imagine that I did not know what to expect from this.
That's like
Like
two
it has
decades
literally
ago.
been half of my life,
Mm-hmm.
half our lives.
Uh-huh.
So there is definitely like a little bit of a funny moment when I'm there and I'm like, I remember this parking lot being all gravel and it's all like, fully developed and stuff now. And like, that was surreal. It was interesting, man. Like, I think, just like the whole culture is in a very different place now than it was back in the day, right? And so, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot more accepted. There's a lot more folks from our generation who are still going to this convention who kind of grew up with this as well. It was actually really funny. I saw someone from our school as a vendor at a part of Anime North called Nominoichi, which is basically like your reseller flea market kind of thing.
Was it Jaren?
Yes, it was Jaren. Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, I'm not sure why you didn't buy my Nendoroids, Rakush. I offered you a good price.
I mean, you wouldn't bargain with me, it was a fixed price. So
I
What can I
think
say?
it's worth a certain amount, and if I don't get it, you can leave, to be really honest.
yeah, so that's what I did, Jared.
Boys, this is why I
don't know
can't
why
be a
we're going-
vendor, but
I
I
don't know why we're
digress.
going down this route.
But
It
Rakush,
sounds like an actual beef. No, but
yeah, I think
yeah.
that's what I found interesting about from all the TikToks that I saw, where normally when I go to these cons, I kind of expect, the typical artist alley. I expect the actual vendor tables, but I think this is the first time I realized that there was a reseller market as well, where I guess, say, compared to typical vendor and a artist alley vendor, would you say that the vibes to this reseller area felt a bit different compared to a typical con, or is it just all selling or vendors at that point?
Yeah, so for a bit of context, this thing called Nominoichi, you can actually go on this very mid 2000s looking forum, and you can see that like some tables, I would say 80% of the tables actually post like a Google Sheets doc of things they're going to be bringing to this thing. You can actually hold it.
Oh, that's actually kind of lit.
Yeah, you can even like basically like bargain with them, like in the forum and everything as well. It's a little bit of a throwback, but it's kind of cool in that way. Now, there are a few tables that bring things that like aren't on the forum, so you still want to go there and check things out in person and stuff. But it only goes up on Friday from like 7 to 11. So it's like 4 hours, and everybody is basically kind of rushing to it because it's only like those 4 hours, right? And then like artist alley, the vendor area, all the other things, including your outdoor rave, which has not changed apparently in 16 years. There is still an outdoor rave, but basically like all these things are going on for the entire weekend, but Nominoichi is like the one thing that is just Friday. So it's a little bit of a hectic thing. Like if you don't get in within like the first 5-10 minutes, it's virtually impossible to see what's actually at the tables and to be able to actually pick things up at the tables. Now, funny enough, what ended up happening with me is I accidentally snuck in 5 minutes before the doors opened. So I actually got to see everything like before anybody else. Now, it's not my fault. I just wanted to go use a bathroom.
Okay.
Listen, I have an explanation. I have an explanation here. I promise you.
Rakush, this is how you get banned from Anime North, by the way.
I'm not going next year, so it's fine.
Fair,
Is that
fair,
your
fair.
choice or is that Anime North's choice?
Who's to say,
Mm-hmm.
No, but like I genuinely just needed to use a bathroom, and this guy's like, okay, go check out at this entrance. There might be a bathroom there. So I'm like, okay, sure. So then ask the dude, and he's asked the security guard, who then tells me, go through these glass doors and go to your left, and there's a bathroom. So I'm like, all right. So I do that, and as I walk in, I see the tables, and it's like that's Nominoichi. So I was like, oh shit, okay, this is kind of wild. And so, yeah, I was kind of just there, basically. Like, I somehow didn't have to line up or anything. And I got a pretty good deal on a couple of things from there as well, but actually one really great deal. But it was fun. Like, I think one of the things that it really kind of was nostalgic in a sense of like there was a certain sense of like communal bonding over anime that like which sounds very like just heavy-handed and stuff, but like we kind of grew up on the tail end of like VHS trading, and then we kind of grew up like when there were like anime clubs and stuff where like people would get together and watch things. We would trade like burnt DVDs or VCDs or whatever, so like there was an element of like a certain exchange or trading that used to happen when we were growing up. Of course, like it's a lot more convenient now to find and watch whatever you want, right? And so a lot of that doesn't exist anymore. Importing or like buying anime Blu-rays, DVDs, manga, all of that stuff, pretty easy now as well, like compared to what it used to be in the past. And so like over time, just through accessibility, a lot of that trading has kind of just disappeared a little bit. But I did definitely feel like, oh yeah, this space absolutely has a little bit of that like same vibe to it, of like these people who know each other get together. It for me, I'm very much an outsider, but like it clearly seemed like all these folks kind of knew each other, and have known each other for a very long time. So like yeah, it just seemed like a really cool kind of atmosphere there. If you are like me and more and more appreciative of the nostalgic elements of life, I would definitely recommend going and checking this out if you grew up in the same generation as we grew up in.
Rakush, I think you're bearing the lead here. You said you had a haul, and I think we're a couple minutes into the segment, and I'm still not sure what your haul was. So, Rakush, have to ask, how's Wallacon doing right now?
Wallacon is dented, but does not have a hole through it. It's bent but not broken, let's say. I kind of went into this with a very like strict mindset of like, look, if I can find this outside of Anime North, I'm not going to buy it because the prices are very competitive at that point. And so I was just like on the lookout for like, what's a good deal? What is something that I can tell without a shadow of a doubt that I am not going to have like, buyer's remorse on this. And so Artist Alley was a place where I spent some good money. I would say like 120, 150 bucks. And then I spent around 120 to 150 bucks at Nominoichi, my big find, which was a slightly broken figure of Benimaru Shinmon from Fire Force. Retails for around 300 bucks brand new. I got it for 80 bucks in box because a part of his broom is broken that can be glued back together, which I don't give a shit about. So of course I'm like, yeah, this is a great fucking deal. He was sticker price for 100 bucks. I circled that dude like 3 times, partially because again I got there a little bit early because of the bathroom break, and he saw me kind of staring at it. He's like, "I'll do 80 for this." I'm like, "All right, here you go." And that was like the last 80 cash that I had, so like I was like, "I'll do this." And I was actually like walking around with it during Nominoichi, and like 3 dudes walked up and they're like, "I'll give you 120 for that." So I could have flipped it for 40 more, but then I was like, Good Samaritan. 1, it's broken. 2, I only spent like 80 on this. Like I wouldn't feel great about selling it or whatever. And I don't know if they were disappointed or not. Like I don't know if they cared if it was broken or not. But like I didn't want to be the guy that sells them a broken piece.
Wait, did they offer you 120 not knowing it was broken?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's weird then.
I'm guessing they had probably seen it online for 100. And we're willing to go 120 for it.
I see.
Is my guess. Like they probably saw it on the forum or they saw it earlier or something. But then like I saw it getting busy and I'm like, nah, let me just make the call here. Because I kind of at that point just checked everything out on the forum, checked everything out in person that I wanted to. And it was fine. Like I didn't see anything else that really like screamed out at me of like I need to buy this or whatever. So like that was kind of like the big purchase. So I think like all in all I ended up spending something like 250 bucks. I would say 200 of that was for things that I wanted. The remaining was like gifts for 1 or 2 folks. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Well,
All right.
it couldn't slightly damage, but survives the punch.
Until next time, of course. Until next time.
I'm
But
skipping next year. I think it's a good experience if I do it once in a while.
you mean
I
every
don't
two
think it's
decades?
something every 2 decades. Yes, I will be walking in with crutches next time because I'll be in my damn. If I did this 20 years from now, I would be 55. You guys,
Yeah.
Don't think about it, Rakush. Don't think about it.
I already did. It's too late.
uh, but yeah, just with your time at Anime North, aside from purchasing and consumerism, just how were the vibes? Just how were the people around? Any cool cosplay? But yeah, what else did you experience there from first time in a while going?
I mean, speaking of the cosplay, there's a bunch of phenomenal cosplayers. There's a lot of photo shoot sessions happening, and of course, that's gonna happen. But yeah, I think it was really cool. I think there was a bunch that I also saw that I was kind of like not really expecting to see anything beyond just like cosplaying of the basic series and stuff. But no, there were folks like one of them was a chair from the Suzume movie.
That's pretty good.
There was someone that was the devil from Billy and Mandy. Like there's a lot of cool ones like that. And I think like in general, it was kind of like an open, welcoming, comfortable space. Even though I saw someone with a thin blue line jacket on, which was kind of weird at an anime convention. But I think in general, the vibes were very welcoming. Everyone kind of felt, but I don't know, like, again, I've not experienced this in a very long time, right? So like all I have to go off of is like, what was this like when I was 18, 19 years old? And how much of that was on me when I was 18, 19, feeling like embarrassed or like having some sort of trepidation around like liking this thing, that I don't really have anymore as a 35-year-old, right? So definitely a lot more relaxed, but I was only there on Fridays, so like I can only speak to that. There was this event, like a night screening thing called Anime Hell, where this guy does it every year, where he essentially like edits together like a 2-hour long video of just like random Japanese cultural shit, including like weird commercials, old anime, old Sentai TV shows. That is Sentai, like the Kamen Rider stuff, the Godzilla stuff. So like, yeah, like that was kind of interesting. I could only stay there for an hour if that's like. At that point, I'd been walking around for 7 hours. I was out for 7 hours. My ankle started hurting, like the most 35-year-old man thing you could have happen to you. I literally have had my ankle wrapped up for 2 days since then. But yeah, like it was kind of fun to experience that as well. And I think it was a cool experience. I think it's an experience that, regardless of your age, you can go and kind of have fun at this point. So that was neat. And yeah, I would recommend it. Like if you guys haven't gone in a while, Matt, you don't leave your like radius of your house.
I mean,
so
I also don't really
recommend it
enjoy
to
going to conventions, so
Well, you don't like people.
Yes,
so
yeah,
yeah. Like I'm not gonna recommend you go hang out with people, but Jaren, I think you would have fun with this. I think there's a lot of resellers that do like Pokemon stuff as well. There are decent vendors as well, although I'll be honest, I didn't really check out the vendors too much because those are all just stores. So like if I want to go check them out, like I can just go check them out whenever. But I think it was great. I think it was a good experience. I think it's a good sort of way of also reflecting on where have I been, where am I going kind of thing. Like that was nice too.
Anime at all points of your life, Rakush. But
right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I always put it's not necessarily a negative stigma towards Anime North, but for some reason I've always found myself going towards the Comic-Cons, the fan expos, which again have my tickets for August for some reason. Nope, I know the reason. I want to be activated. I want to go to vendors where I think I should be going to Anime North, but I'm not sure why I'm not. So maybe I'll see how it is next year, unless I'm banned through association with you breaking the rules and sneaking into the place 5 minutes early. But
apparently, I even parked in a parking lot that was for vendors only.
Wow,
this guy,
no one caught me.
Just continuing to incriminate yourself. So
just a renegade over here, apparently.
I guess we will never have the Mistake Zone live at Anime North unless you join via satellite. But Rakush, what was before we go, coolest thing you saw at Anime North this year?
Honestly, kind of just how organized everything was and like not chaotic things were. Like it could have gotten very chaotic if anyone in the crowd decided to be, an asshole and sneaking into things 5 minutes earlier while they're looking for a bathroom. No, I'm joking. Like, I do kind of, like, appreciate how well run everything was. I don't think I was necessarily caught, like, in awe of anything. Like, the cosplays were all equally strong. Actually, there was one dude who dressed up as Blackbeard from One Piece. And I was very impressed because I saw him and I'm like, this is a guy who knows himself very well because he found exactly the character that, he had the same body shape as. And was 100% Blackbeard. I think that was a cool one. But then beyond that, it's just, the more sort of, unseen things of just, how organized things were. And, how just kind of, I don't know, to me, what I was most impressed by was how positive everything kind of felt. Maybe it was just, the people I was hanging out with was what it might have been. But overall, the vibes were very good. Compared to what historically I've felt the whole culture could and has been in the past with more pretentious fans and gatekeeping and stuff. None of that seemed to exist here, at least in the limited time that I spent there. So I think that was cool.
Man, the fact that you said the coolest thing at Anime North you saw was essentially organization and logistics is the most today I'm old thing.
I'm a project manager. I am absolutely, dude. I am absolutely a 35-year-old salaryman here that appreciates just when things run swimmingly. Man, listen. I was talking to Julian and his partner the other day. Got a photo of Julian holding a stick in front of some fancy-looking birds or whatever. The whole concept was, or the whole point of the photo was, look at all these birds, and the only thing I'm is that's a mighty fine stick right there. It's there's just there are things I appreciate in life now that aren't the things others appreciate.
Fair enough, Rakush. Fair enough. Matt, speaking about Anime North, based on your time with Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, if you were to walk through Anime North, which character do you think you'd see cosplayed first?
Ooh, honestly, I am going to go with just any of the kind of starting cast. I think Mael. I've already seen Mael cosplays. Not particularly for Anime North, but just online, I've already seen cosplays of her. I think that she is very common. The thing is for that cosplay in particular, it is just kind of a outfit. They all have generally the same outfit, so you can just be cosplaying as an expeditioner. In the same way that you can. You wear that, Akatsuki kind of that black red cloud, robe cape thing. And you're not, not necessarily being one of them. You're just, getting the vibes, right?
Right. Okay. But Matt, speaking about Clair Obscur Expedition 33 vibes, did you wrap a bow on it? And how are the vibes from beginning to end?
Yes, I have finished Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And I, for the most part, have enjoyed my way through this game. I think I brought up already that there are a lot of small issues that act as really annoying friction points throughout the whole game. But for me, the core battle gameplay is solid. I like the kind of humor that they have in the game, and the story for me is a story that I enjoyed, but of course, when you finish a game, you got to go see what everybody else is saying. And man, there's a lot of people who did not like this this story.
But Matt,
Mm-hmm.
we don't care about those other people. We care about your thoughts. So, first question: what was your total runtime when you finally wrapped a bow on it?
My Game Pass time is 43 hours, basically.
Not bad. Not bad.
And I think you can definitely finish or get the credits a lot faster than that, because you guys, you can grind really hard at the end of this game, which I did, and I'll be honest, it trivializes like the back, I want to say, quarter of this game to the point.
Sounds like my kind of game, Matt.
Jaren, you are going to enjoy the end game of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 because
amazing.
You can grind to the point that you are one-shotting just full-ass end bosses. You're skipping mechanics.
That's what I want, Matt. That's what I want.
You the only time that you won't one-shot kill them is when they have, hey, we have a story beat that we have to put in before you kill this like boss. And
okay,
I don't know. That was I think that kind of like ruined a little bit of the momentum of that ending, but it was so good to be able to build that along the way, and finding all the pieces to make that perfect build for basically every character is it's so good. Going from hitting like 5,000 damage to going into the hundreds of thousands over the course of I want to say like 2 or 3 hours, like grinding is really really good.
Okay.
But man, honestly, as I was like thinking about talking about this game, I realized that, man, for the past, I want to say like month or so on Mistake Zone, we have been like revisiting a lot of grief themed things between like this Thunderbolt, South of Midnight, and man, I want to get out of this
to a T.
Oh yeah, to a T. Like I want to get out of this. Do you guys think Blueprints is grief related in any like? Do you think it's grief enough, or that's like too subtle of a thing to call a theme for Blueprints?
Boys, grief from Blueprints is when you need a key and don't have a key.
Man, Desire Center booming you as well.
Oh man.
But
dude,
before we get into the Blueprints update, Matt, any closing thoughts on Clair Obscur? And actually, question, Matt, how much platforming did you do during your time with the game?
I didn't. I got to points where you needed to do platforming, and I'm just like, I guess I'm not doing that part of the game. Like, the platforming that they ask of you in this game is to me frustrating, because the controls that you have to platform are not good. So I don't know. Fair. It's pretty rough. I don't want to play only up with particularly bad controls. Yeah, that's just grief. Just grief. Finally, Matt. If
you had to do Matt's character of the game for Clair Obscur, who was it? Who was your favorite party member? Who was your favorite character, favorite boss, or just anyone of note that you'll fondly remember when you think back to Clair Obscur?
Oh man, I think all of my favorite characters are going into spoiler territory because they are not any of the starting characters. So I kind of don't want to specifically go into it.
Fair. But, I guess, when would our friends meet said characters if they get their hands on Clair Obscur?
Probably about, I want to say like maybe 7 or so hours into the game. I think that's around the time that you'll start meeting the characters that I really vibe with.
Okay. So around the 20% mark is what you're saying?
Yes. Man.
Okay.
I want to just I want to go into one more thing, because I just want to talk about like this game very vaguely because of that thing I said where a lot of people did not like the story. This game is like the kind of game where at the end you can kind of do stuff to manipulate what ending you'll receive. And, of the endings, there is one in particular that I just straight up disagree with because, to talk like vaguely, like like across all of the endings kind of lead to different places. And it is kind of like, one of those things where there isn't necessarily a good or a bad thing. Like it's just kind of like a mix between good and bad, depending on, where you end up. And I think one of these is an objectively bad ending, and the people who are saying it is an objectively good ending are wild to me. And I really,
What about someone who says it's subjectively good?
I mean, okay, I think anybody who says it's subjectively good are wild to me too. You have the wrong opinion, and I actually am very curious as to what the kind of like demographics for what ending people like aim towards are for this game. And I know it's not usually a thing that people release, but I really wonder if this company kept metrics of the choices people made throughout this game. Because I would really, really like to see that data.
Oh, yeah, I would imagine they'd have to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Would be really curious. I think that'd be something fun to release if we were prepping for some sort of sequel or DLC, if it were related to the upcoming game.
Mm-hmm.
Out of curiosity, what do you mean by demographics? Like, do you just mean like younger folks chose this ending, older folks? Like, what is it that you're looking for, I guess, out of curiosity?
I am honestly specifically looking for age on who picked what ending, and I know that this is not like a thing that you ever track for. I also wonder like field of study on what you
that'd be hard to track, but interesting nonetheless.
Also, gonna throw this one out there too. I would also like to see religious stats. Just want to put that out there too.
This guy wants the census.
Yeah,
I really just, this is just data that I crave that I know I'm never gonna have.
Unless you put it out there, it would be a small sample size, but maybe if you lurked at Discord or subreddit, you might be able to find something at least within that realm.
Oh man, no. But this data is like so so far that man, I would really love to see it, but I know I'm never going to.
Fair. Matt, I look forward to the spoiler cast between you and Julian, and if me and Rakush ever played this game. But that has been Clair Obscur Expedition 33, available now. Boys, first time in 6 years I don't have an active Game Pass subscription, and it feels weird. But going back to last week, Rakush, you had you were pretty vocal about some of the, let's say, shortcomings that you've experienced during your time with Blueprints. But there was a update that snuck through this week. And if there's one thing I like about Blueprint's patch notes, it's a lot of it is blacked out and marked for spoilers, which really I do appreciate. But within this patch, it did fix the issue that I was running into where if I would pull the lever in the basement early, I might be, there might be an invisible wall in front of room 46 by the time I got in there. But there were some other, quality of life changes that came with this update. But Rakush, a week later, how has your Blueprints experience maybe improved or changed from last time you spoke about it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely hilarious and phenomenal timing on them releasing this patch, which fixed one of the things I mentioned, which was having to re-unlock safes anytime you've unlocked one of those. Now it's just always open if you've opened it even once in your playthrough. So that's a big thing that got fixed. So you don't have to always enter the code in. You don't have to remember all that stuff. It's just open. I personally don't think it makes the game easier at all. I think it is just enhancing the experience the longer you play it. So I think that's a great fix. I believe there's a couple of other quality of life things that they updated. None of which are like, oh, they added a journal or anything like that. It's nothing like that. But I do think that they have taken some good steps to making the game a little bit more accessible for replayability, which I think it was a bit of a blind spot. Let's admit it. Like, for a game that requires as much kind of repetition. So I'm glad that they fixed that. I actually finally got to room 46 on a playthrough on Saturday, a couple of days before this recording. So at least I rolled credits on it. But from the sounds of it, there is a lot more to play if I want to play it, which I'm kind of 50-50 on right now. Not because it's a bad game, but I think like the amount of time I put into it and the level of reward that I felt I got was sufficient. I'm like, I'm cool. Like, I don't want to kind of like hit my head against the wall anymore kind of thing, So like, I don't know. I'm still debating it. But I think, yeah, like some of these fixes make this a lot easier. Or sorry, not easier. It makes it a lot more streamlined experience in a way that I think absolutely helps this game.
Where there are definitely some areas, the more I'm currently playing it, that I wish were a bit more streamlined. There's a particular, you know what? I'll just say it. I wish Room 8 was streamlined after you solved it the first time, but I still am enjoying it. Where on the flip side, I feel like I would have finished Deliver at All Costs by the time of our recording, but there were two instances this week or in the past week where I thought maybe I would play some more, but I just ended up with some beefy boy blueprints runs to the point where in my handy dandy blueprints notebook, aka Excel file, there are two new tabs. One specifically solely dedicated to Matt Rakush, one of my favorite books, maybe not so favorite books in blueprints. And I don't know, there's just still something about that game that calls to me where I've brute forced my way through more puzzles than I want to admit. And gotta admit, boys, when you kind of brute force it, and I personally scramble to Matt, asking Matt what just happened, and he'll tell me the actual answer. Boy, do I feel big dumb. But I guess that is blueprints, where I guess since we're in this kind of quick hits news wrap up before we get into this week's Don't Match Me, real quick, boys, how do we feel about another Pokemon TCG Pocket set coming out real soon?
Rough.
I don't think I've pulled in a very long time.
Yeah.
I'm still opening the Shining pack. I forget the set packs to chase that Iono Dream. Boys, I just need 500 more pack points before I hit pity.
Oh, man.
But I did pull the Golden Master Ball today, which I thought was pretty cool. What else? Akuma coming to Monster Hunter Wilds. I believe by the time this episode releases. Rakush, why doesn't Gemma get any costumes?
Wait, what happened with Akuma? Sorry, I've been kind of out of the loop here.
Ooh.
Matt, why doesn't Gemma get any costumes?
I mean, because she's not Alma. That's why.
Big sad. Actually, Rakush, since you don't know anything going on, what do you think of Alma getting a Chun-Li and Cammy costume, paid costume? Cammy should have been Gemma. I kind of see the Chun-Li physical similarities there. That's interesting. Maybe I'll load the game up later. Well, okay, that sounded weird.
Fair.
There's really no saving it at this point. Yeah. Are these Akuma items that result in active combos, them testing the water for a melee-based weapon?
I don't know if they're testing the waters. I think this is a melee-based weapon. Because, when I initially watched the trailer, I thought that it was Akuma in the way that they did Akuma in Rise, where they basically just took the sword and shield and removed the graphics for the sword and shield and just replaced it with Akuma punching things and like swiping at things and doing hooks. But it seems like this is just straight up an Akuma move set that is being added to this game when you wear his armor, and that is wild.
Monster Hunter Wild.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Actually, as since you guys are the Monster Hunter vets, how often do they introduce new weapon like sets or just weapon types?
I don't think they've introduced a new weapon in like 15 years, 15-ish years.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
I think the latest weapon was like the insect glaive, and that was in 3 or 4. I want to say.
Is there a reason why they don't typically add new weapons, or is this just a series that focuses mainly on the monsters?
I mean, I think it's a series that focuses mainly on the monsters, and I have been expecting that they would add a new weapon, but I guess it's just like you also have to come up with a unique gameplay where you're not going to be, stepping on anyone's toes too hard, or any weapon's toes too hard. That I wonder what they would do.
It's also like a balancing thing, right? Like, how do you make sure you're not making this new weapon overpowered? Which, in a weird way, bringing this conversation full circle, it is kind of a combat, like it's a fighting game. So, like, you do have to kind of figure out the balancing a little bit there.
I am interested in the Akuma moveset, though.
Yeah, he sure is doing a shuriken to this monster. Where, boys, you know me, I like me a good gauntlet moveset where I'm still stunned that I still can't technically punch a monster in the face, where I thought gauntlets would be a slam dunk at some point, but who knows? Who knows? Matt, are you going to be playing this week?
Yeah. If this is the week that Akuma comes out, I think I am going to play. I really want to try out this moveset. I want to throw, Akuma Hadoukens. I want to do that, like, the Akuma dodge. And, I want to see what's up. And I want to dress my Palico up as Cartoon Blanca.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's cool. In game. I think the Blanca mascot is called Blanca-chan, so pretty good. But yeah, I'm kind of disappointed it is only Akuma, and was hoping for a lot more armor sets for the fight, because you're just straight up turning your character into Akuma, I believe.
Yes.
But I guess we will see this week as well. But I think those were some of the quick hits that pertain to what we typically talk about here on the Mistake Zone. But speaking about things we do talk about on the weekly, it's that time once again for the Don't Match Me challenge. Matt, please take it away.
So, this is the Don't Match Me challenge. It is a game that we do, every episode of the Mistake Zone. And if you don't know how to play, the rules are that the question asker, I'm going to ask you, the listener, along with my co-hosts, 5 questions, and I'm going to give 5 answers. The goal for you, the player, is to provide an answer that does not match my answer. If that sounds too easy for you, you can also try to not match my co-hosts as well. And remember, this is a podcast, so if you need time to think, you need time to Google, just hit that pause button, because, once you hit that play button, we're going to be right on the other side of it. And, you guys, this week I brought Clair Obscur, and the big bad in Clair Obscur is the paintress. So, I decided to do a Don't Match Me about painting. All right. Sorry. A Don't Match Me about video game painting.
Oh, God. Okay. A little bit tougher.
So, guys, question 1 for my Don't Match Me is, name any video game franchise that did or does use a cel-shaded art style.
Uses a cel-shaded art style.
Cel shading being that kind of... I feel like cel shading is the closest that you get to a drawn art style without, compared to like a lot of other graphical styles when you're applying it to like 3D models.
Ooh, this one...
I need a referee call for this. For answer purposes, can you define franchise?
Any like like Fast and the Furious is a franchise. So
would you want this to have multiple entries and no one-offs?
No. It just any game in the series would have had to have had a cell shaded art style. So as long as one game in the series or franchise has cell shading, I say it counts.
Okay.
All right. So name that franchise in 3, 2, 1. I'm going with the Jet Set Radio franchise.
I knew that was going to be one of them.
Jaren, what'd you go with?
So Matt, the reason I wanted you to clarify was because whenever someone says cell shading, I'm going to think immediately, not Jet Set, not Borderlands, but when you asked the question, I thought of the 2001 release Cell Damage.
Oh, I don't even know what that game is.
It's a vehicle combat game from Electronic Arts, which was essentially I remember this was a launch around the launch window of the Xbox, the GameCube, and then the PS2 era. So that's why I wanted you to kind of clarify, because I'm pretty sure this has only one release. So this might not really be a franchise, but I went with Cell Damage.
Ooh.
Do you accept it?
Yeah, I accept that.
Okay.
Rakush, what'd you go with?
I'm going with an all-time classic, Beautiful Joe.
Ooh.
Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah, that is a classic.
I feel like that and Jet Set are like the definitive cell shaded games.
The other one that I thought of as like a definitive one was Telltale's Walking Dead.
I was thinking about that and Wind Waker as well, but it's just they're a little bit too clean for me to call them fully cell shaded. You know,
you like those dirty faces.
A little bit.
You know that's what Rakush says.
You'll like Clair Obscur. That is all dirty faces.
Interesting.
I feel like for a time, Borderlands was definitely up there, but I'm not sure what they're doing with 4, and I'll be honest, based on some comments, I guess I'm not a real fan for the Borderlands franchise anymore.
Yep,
so
same. Damn. All right. Going on to question 2. It is, name any video game that has an art museum or gallery in it. Like as a level, as like its whole setting. It just has to have a kind of like art museum or gallery.
So again, sorry to bother the referee back to back. To clarify, we're not saying, oh, you go to the main menu, go to extras, and you go to a gallery.
Yeah, no. I am talking about you in-game as your, I guess, like in-game avatar. You can walk into a museum and look at like a painting.
Okay.
Or like at least see a painting. Like you don't have to have like an interact one to look at it. You just have to be able to like, go up to it and see it.
Fair.
All right. Name that game in 3, 2, 1. I'm going with a Matt classic here. I went with Payday 2.
Oh, interesting.
There's literally a level called Art Gallery.
Amazing.
Jaren, what'd you go with?
I had to be a basic B, where I initially wanted to say Elden Ring, but I couldn't actually remember if there was a museum level, so you know what? I had to go with the basic Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Aw, dang.
Ooh.
Okay, we matched.
Ooh.
We matched.
Oh, nice. Okay. So you guys both went with Animal Crossing. And
Yes.
Yeah, lost hard mode.
Damn, flip of the coin, Rakush. If you were asked first, I would have lost. So
It's okay. The order is always I go last. It's fine.
Oh man. I am glad that you guys picked that, because for my question 3 is, name any painting in Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Kind of felt like you were gonna go with that.
So, like this game, you are able to buy things that are specifically called paintings. I am looking for either the name of the, actual piece of art that painting represents, or like its adjective painting name, like in-game. So any of the paintings in Animal Crossing New Horizons. Name that painting in 3, 2, 1. I went with the the academic painting, The Vitruvian Man.
Good answer.
Jaren, what do you got?
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
if there's one thing that I'm always whenever I'm not the one hosting or bringing the Don't Match Me, I'm always feeling this way. I had to go with the scary painting.
Ooh.
We almost matched up again, Jaren. I was thinking scary painting, but then I remembered one of my favorite paintings from the game is the wistful painting, the Girl with a Pearl Earring by Johannes Vermeer, especially the bootleg one.
Scary painting was the samurai or the scared Japanese style painting? Was it that one?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the woodblock one.
Good painting, good painting, good painting. Good paintings, good paintings.
Yes.
All right. So, going on to question 4. You can't have a painting without paint. Question 4 is name any main weapon type category from the Splatoon series.
Does that have to do with the statement you just made about painting without paint?
Yeah,
Because I don't see the transition
you
there.
spread ink in Splatoon, using these weapons, and that's like paint. And honestly, a lot of these things are paint or art related anyway. So
I'll be honest, I kind of forgot the question already because I couldn't stop thinking about the transition there. What was the question?
Name any main weapon category in the Splatoon series. Name that weapon type in 3, 2, 1. I'm going with a type that I liked to play, but I don't think we're ever particularly good. I'm going with Brellas.
Ooh, good answer. Good answer.
Jaren, what'd you go with?
As a dirty aerospray boy,
Of
I
course.
had to go with the shooters.
Of course. Rakush, what'd you go with?
I don't know what this weapon is, but I do find the name kind of funny. The classic Squiffer.
I think that counts as shooter, or it might be a charger. Yes, that is a charger.
Okay. So I have not matched.
You have not matched.
Jaren.
You have not matched.
Excellent.
All right. Well, going good. We're good. And now, going into, the last question, the most specific question. Question 5 is, name any painting in Super Mario 64 that leads to a level. So, Super Mario 64, there are paintings that you can jump into that lead to a level. I just want the name of the level or the painting. I think it's both the same thing. So name that world or name that level in 3, 2, 1. I'm going with Tiny Huge Island. Jaren, what'd you go with?
Matt, I went with one of the two I know off heart. I hope this is right. I went with Womp's Fortress.
Yeah, I think it's... Oh yeah, it is Womp's Fortress. Yes, I thought it was Thwomp's Fortress, but I think it's Womp's.
Some sort of fortress, which I associate as the second or third level of Mario 64.
Yes. Rakush, what'd you go with?
I'm going with Big Boo's Haunt.
Is Big Boo's Haunt a painting?
A haunted house level filled with booze ghosts.
I think that technically...
Rakush, what's your second point? What would be your second answer?
Jolly Roger Bay.
Ooh, Jolly Roger's Bay is a good one. I think the
that's a
Boo
good one.
wasn't a painting. It was just a level. But that is a technicality.
Once again, I am going to go with what list I had because I have a difficult time remembering all the paintings from Mario Brothers.
Come on, Rakush. It was
64.
only like 25 years ago.
Yeah, 25. What are you talking about? It's like almost 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I guess it's closer to 30 than it is 25. Yeah.
Yeah, you are you are losing track of time there, my friend.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? But Matt, I think we survived another round of the Don't Match Me challenge. Honestly, surprised you didn't go down the Mario Paint route.
I couldn't think of good Mario Paint questions. He was definitely on my radar. Couldn't think of him.
To be honest, I thought you would ask name a game where you could use a paintbrush, but maybe we'll put that in the vault.
That was actually one of the questions I thought of, and it turned out I found that to be very hard to figure out because I think I really only figured out Epic Mickey and Okami.
Harder than the Mario 64 painting question?
I mean, I thought that... Okay, To be honest, I thought you guys might have had like a more functional knowledge of Mario 64 than games that have paintbrushes in them. But
Fair.
Jaren, yet another episode where we realize our good friend Matt does not know us too well.
I'm trying to think what games have a paintbrush weapon.
like Splatoon. Yeah, the Splatoons.
Matt, if you were to ask that, I probably would have said Hollow Gear with Eofi's special. Man, but
Drawn to Life, did that have, or was that like a pencil? That might have been a pencil.
I would say Scribble Knots.
Did he have a thing though? I thought he just like had like god magic.
It was like a pencil pen kind of thing.
Like a Blue's Clues type situation.
Yeah.
Fair.
Tilt brush?
Okay, if I had asked that question, would you guys consider like Canvas Curse having a magic paintbrush? Like the Kirby DS game?
I think so.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't have thought any further than Eofi and Hollow Gear.
Oh, man.
And there's my weekly Eofi mention quota for this week's episode of The Mistake Zone. As always, I want to thank one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba, for joining me this week, editing this podcast, and also bringing the Don't Match Me challenge.
Yo, thanks, man. As always, I want to thank you for hosting this podcast and, eating ice cream poorly.
Sometimes you have to, Matt. Sometimes you have to. Also want to thank one of my other best friends in the whole wide world, Rakush, for joining us this week and potentially getting banned from Anime North for the next 20 years.
Potentially. But I got connects. I can get people to get me stuff from there if I need.
Fair.
I'm sure.
Maybe you'll get in 4 minutes early next year.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who else do we need to thank, boys? I want to thank supportive moms. I want to thank supportive dogs. I want to thank cosplayers, I guess. I want to thank that security guard for letting Rakush, or showing Rakush where to go to the washroom. Rakush, which wrestlers are we thanking this week?
I want to thank all the contestants of Anarchy in the Arena. I want to thank Rob Zombie. I want to thank Willow for locking her earlobe to the ring post. I don't know how else to describe that, but yeah, those are my thank yous this week.
Okay. And I don't want to thank platforming puzzles in JRPG adjacent games. But Matt,
Marriage JRPGs.
I mean, it's Fred. Fred.
I don't even know what I say. It's been a long day, so Matt, please take it away.
This has been The Mistake Zone, and we're all out of permission to attend Anime North.
Ray RPG.